Very good evening, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining us for another episode of Digital Success Dialogue. Today we have with us Dr. Rakesh, who's gonna, and I'll leave up to the lady to take it up from there, introducing Rakesh. But just let me quickly introduce you to Shreya, who leads our insurance practice and has been part of the industry for more than a decade now. So Shreya, over to you, and you can take it up from here.
Sure, and thank you so much for the nice introduction, Zain. So now I will be introducing my fellow panelist, Dr. Rakesh Agarwal. He's a veteran in insurance industry, an editor of the monthly journal, The Insurance Times, The Banking Finance, Life Insurance Today, PR Communication Age, and Financial Bazaar, a fortnightly newspaper on financial sector. The Insurance Times Journal is one of the oldest journal on insurance in India. He has authored more than 30 books and guides for various exams on insurance. He is also the Secretary General of Risk Management Association of India, an NGO engaged in development of risk management disciplines in India. He is a fellow member of ICAI, Fellow of Insurance Institute of India, Bachelor of Law and MBA, postgraduate in journalism and doctorate in risk management. He has more than 25 years of experience as an editor of financial journal. Of course, Dr. Rakesh has a varied experience and is a veteran in the insurance industry, and I'm sure he needs no introduction. But I would still like to hear a few words from you, Dr. Rakesh.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Shreya. Good afternoon, all the participants. And thanks to the whole team of Intelligence Technology for inviting me for this session. From COVID-19, we have learned a very important lesson. The power of positivity lies in the negative, where everyone prays to have a negative result to stay positive all the time. And this whole the period of lockdown has been very stressful for everyone and coping with the new normal, new situation. In case of risk surveys by many of the top risk firms in 2019, a pandemic did not figure in their list of top risks. In AXA Emerging Risk Survey in 2019, the risk from pandemic and infectious disease was, I think, around 8th in their list. It was not in the top 5 list. Similarly, in the Global Risk Report 2020, which is a quite referred report, pandemics did not figure in the top 5 risks. But by the end of 2019 and early 20, COVID-19 risk emerged on the forefront and almost left behind all the risks. We were talking of climate change and cyber security threats, and everything all were very far behind, left very far behind. Some experts considered COVID as a black swan event with a low frequency, high impact, and some as a gray rhino with a very high probability and high impact, but ignored. But whatever may be the terminology, this single event almost brought the whole world to a standstill. COVID-19 has already cost over US $11 trillion and the loss is continuing. There's no stopping of it. And to US $3 trillion for World War II, according to the report prepared by Global Preparedness Monitoring Board. So the loss due to COVID is huge. As the COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted almost all the sector, it has had its effect on the insurance industry too. The insurance business got severely affected during the lockdown period due to uncertain environment. In fact, insurance comes down the line of in the purchasing list of individual very low. So people don't avoid insurance and they defer the decision to buy insurance unless it is very important.
Right.
During the period, demand for term insurance and health insurance spiked up due to fear of health issues. India has been an under-penetrated country in terms of insurance coverage. And even after 73 years of independence, our penetration rate remains 3.70%, which is a great cause of worry. if we break it up, the share of life insurance penetration is around 2.74%, whereas penetration is in non-life is only 0.97%. And if we compare the total global premium as a percentage, it was only 1.92% in 2018. So these figures are quite low compared to the size of the country and the financial strength we have.
Exactly, Dr. Rakesh. You have correctly pointed out the effect of COVID-19 or a pandemic, which was so unprecedented for everyone around the globe, to be impacted so efficiently to a sector which was otherwise have more customer facing or front facing or customer touch point driven. So there has all insurance sector or the banking or finance sector is a kind of sector, since individuals money are involved, people were not very receptive of the fact of going to the digital medium or using the digital medium in order to identify the right insurance policy, in order to identify the top up, in order to identify different ways of claim processing, money transaction. And I am totally aligned that on the fact that yes, COVID-19 has impacted, and now the world has started coming out of the COVID-19 shock that they received during the beginning of late February or beginning March. Do you think this is going to be the ultimate driver or the catalyst for digital transformation and growth in insurance sector?
No, actually, the COVID gave the much necessary push that was required in the insurance sector. Digital was already there in the industry since long, but people were somehow not wanting to purchase insurance online. And the impact of this COVID is unfolding slowly with passage of time. And but in current scenario, it is really difficult to gauge the complete impact. The insurance. The growth of insurance industry during the last month has taken a severe beating due to this lockdown and all, and any slowdown in industrial activity directly impacts the insurance sector. So the digital transformation is certainly going to help the growth of insurance sector as we go along.
Right.
And this growth of this digital adoption of insurance has been growing gradually, if you can say, over a period if we see. In compared to other fintech sectors. And insurers are also benefiting from digital payment programs and channels that banks have launched, and the initiatives of the central government in digitization.
Right.
So if we look at the overall scenario, the current scenario has significantly accelerated the opportunities of digital engagement and digital delivery of product and services for the industry. And going forward, as the rapid migration of customers from physical to digital is expected to a significant jump in future.
Rightly pointed out, initially the digital transformation in insurance sector were already there, but it was the adaptation. The customer adaptation has only been limited to the early majority. Now the late majority and the laggards are in the consumer life cycle, or the target group are also being receptive of the fact that yes, insurance could be procured or purchased, or the claims could be handled digitally. But before the COVID-19, and it's my personal opinion, and I would like to know your view on it. I've never thought that a banking operation or a complete insurance operation could be managed remotely. The entire workforce, the disruption that were happening in the insurance sector has been always from the front end perspective, like there has to be a marketplace, or there's a different channel of distribution, or there was different way of gaining more customer reach. But with COVID-19, I saw that how quickly after the initial hiccup, even the insurance clients or the finance client were able to move their entire workforce to start their operational due diligence and the operational day-to-day operational processes in the remote sector. So how will you explain the continuity planning and remote technology to elevate the workforce disruption in this sector?
Yes, truly. When this pandemic started, the insurance company were too completely caught off guard. And I think most of the insurance companies must have invoked this crisis management plan for resuming their normal operations, as insurance falls under essential services in many cases. Some companies are better prepared, while the others were not. I think here technology played an important role, who were already very well into the digital mode. And but the companies also faced a lot of challenges due to poor IT infrastructure and network capabilities. I think were quite limited in the homes of workforce also. And this data security also emerged as a challenge, because passing on the data to their telecallers in their home and through various channels was a challenge. And any breach of data can cause the companies quite dearly. Again, scaling operations in such a short time to continue the desired level of services were not very easy. There were a lot of hiccups. Decision making was not easy, as collaborating important meetings and taking decisions over phone proved to be quite strenuous. Again, in Indian insurance market, a lot of business is being done through direct intermediary, who are in direct contact with the customers. They also could not visit the customer, and business was hampered. So, but as we go forward, the growth of the adaptation that we have done through digital medium, and if we can take it forward, the main challenge, I think, was in the mindset of people that we have crossed. Now people would be ready to adapt to and be agile in adopting new technology, and in terms of providing services to the customer, providing all claim processing facilities to the client. So as we go forward, this since we have already adapted, this will grow in a positive direction.
So, you think that this is going to be a sustainable plan to kind of ensure a smooth operation of insurance business from a remote workplace? Because the remote workplace model so far was actually limited to the technology sector or the IT services sector. The main concern in the insurance, primarily since it's dealing with a lot of commercial transaction, it would be primarily the data security, proper call routing technology, the underlying privacy, the payment gateway, and the primary challenge is integrating with multiple network and kind of create a whole ecosystem that is fault tolerant. So far people has been considerate of the fact that if something is not working, and the system is not that fault tolerant, people were being considerate of the fact. But do you think the remote workplace model going forward, once we would be able to totally come out of COVID, is a sustainable model?
Yeah, it should be a sustainable model, because see, COVID may once the vaccine comes, COVID may stop, or uh, uh, this sort of challenges would not be there. But can we predict that any new pandemic would not be there? Since this has already started, we need to gear up our system to have those facilities, to build up those technologies for remote working, to scale up the operations, to scale up the technology part. And I think a big role need to be played by the technology companies. They have a very good market ahead, because as we move along and we need to spread out all over the country, they in fact need to scale up the operation and provide support to the insurance companies. And this will stay, because no company would like to take risk again. And in case if any pandemic strikes again, and it is quite likely that it will strike again,
Right.
nobody knows. So this remote technology will work, and companies need to plan accordingly.
Right. Another observation about insurance sector is the time to prepare an agent. so that they can better advise a customer, since it's primarily a customer facing industry and the adaptation of digital was low. The customer personalized experience or providing bundled solution that is totally addressing or curated for a particular customer need has been lagging, because of course there were some things that the customer might want, and there might be some different alignment on the sales agent or the salesperson. Do you think our digital disruption or digital transformation, by creating some insurance front end, or people are more going on the insurance portal to browse through different policies, will help the insurance sector also focus on customer experience in terms of personalization?
Yeah, actually, the new technology enabled customer experience requires an entirely holistic approach, which puts the policyholders' need at a center stage. The companies must formulate an effective strategy that balances personalization, fulfilling need, and maintaining efficiency, using a combination of human and digital solutions at every touch point throughout the whole value chain of the insurance. And
Alright.
this strategy must be quite flexible to accommodate individual preferences, wants, and needs. In insurance, many times customers don't know what they want or what should be suitable for them. So we need to create a need for them, and no product will get success unless it satisfies the need.
Right, right. Totally. Like you have said, that the digital disruption have introduced a greater level of personalization and customer experience. So far, we have seen very traditional digital way of selling insurance or getting insurance to customer. From your 25 years of experience, do you think there's still some areas of digital disruption that the industry is still lagging in terms of customization, personalization, and value proposition?
Yeah, definitely. And as I said, the if you see the penetration level in India, it is still quite low. Even after having such a huge number of population and such huge area in terms of area, we have not been able to fully move into the tier 3, tier 4 cities and in the villages properly. So digitization, I think, is the only solution, because you can't invest that much of money to open your offices in all the cities, in all the villages and small touch points. So you need to invest on technology. This is the only way you can expand your operation and increase the sales of a product, and also to increase the facilities for the customer. And the customer servicing can be enhanced only through the technological medium. Otherwise, it will be quite difficult and costly to reach out to the smaller cities and different classes of people.
Right, right. Also, I feel a lot of digitization, or the whole concept of digital transformation is viable, and it's like a domino created ecosystem. So the whole digital transformation is not sustainable on its own. We need to have proper infrastructure. You have rightly pointed out that the penetration is low because 60% of Indian population is still in the rural or suburban region dwellers. So, if you think that there should be any modification or changes in rules, regulation, government investment in terms of infrastructure, rather than targeted effort on PR, branding, and marketing for digitization and product penetration?
Actually, one area where we are still lacking is education. Still, we don't have enough education where we can educate the customer why insurance is needed. Because as soon as you talk of insurance, people start comparing it with insurance products, with investment products. So just they start valuing the percentage, the benefit that they would be getting from opting insurance product. So education would be a big area, and somehow these insurance companies have not been able to push enough, push this education part. And after this government initiative of Jan Dhan Yojana and opening of this bank accounts and this smaller ticket size insurance of 15 and 20 rupees, So this pushed awareness about insurance a lot. So like this, insurance industry should as a whole, and in fact, I think both councils, general insurance and life insurance councils, they have taken an initiative for education. And maybe due to lockdown, they could not start it properly, but they have in mind about making the consumers aware. And if the consumers become aware, this insurance sales will increase automatically.
Right.
So it just depends how we teach the consumers and make them aware that about the need of the insurance.
Exactly. I'm totally aligned to you. And as we are talking about digital transformation, digitization in the insurance sector, one silo that comes out of it is the term innovation. While the term innovation on its own means creating something new or creating a need or a market for something and then ensuring the penetration, how would you, according to you, what would be the best way to test innovation during time of such tremendous uncertainty? How to measure the innovation?
Yeah, actually, I would like to talk regarding the initiatives of the IRDA, also our regulator, in terms of innovation and the steps that they have taken during this COVID period, which will accelerate the innovation. IRDA in 2019 came out with a draft for sandbox to allow the insurers, intermediary, or any person recognized by the authority to bring innovative products or services in the industry. Basically, a sandbox means an environment used in financial services sector, which provides testing grounds for new business models, processes that may not be necessarily compliant with the existing regulations. And innovation can be promoted in the area of insurance solicitation, products, underwriting, claim services. So these are the 3-4 areas which can see innovation. And pricing of insurance products are primarily based on experience, loss ratio. But when we talk of innovative products, there is no such previous experience available. And the basic idea of this was to increase penetration, offer tailor-made products and services. And the terms and conditions under this policy would be simpler, with reduced documentation and faster KYC. And in fact, the pandemic has opened new dimensions for innovation, and soon there may be covers for business interruption, maybe for job losses, and OTC product or any new product that may have demand in the market.
Right.
I would just like to highlight few of the initiatives of IRDA for this during this COVID period.
Right.
IRDA has permitted health and general insurers to obtain consent of prospective policyholders through a duly validated one-time password, which was earlier not there. And they have exempted insurers from mandatorily sending hard copy of policy documents. Now they can just send it over email. That is valid now. Again, to promote wellness benefit in life and health insurance, the IRDA has issued guidelines very recently on wellness and preventive features. So basically, this will help the policy holders to lead a healthy lifestyle. They will get a reward for having good lifestyle.
Right.
Again, IRDA has also asked the insurers to include the cost of telemedicine. So if we see the whole perspective, right from underwriting to claims, there are a lot of scope for innovation. And if we talk about underwriting, in underwriting, insurers can use a number of techniques for an online underwriting of risk using, you can say, artificial intelligence, robotics, then maybe use of drones for inspection of risk. But that would be a bit costly proposition. But going forward, all these innovations will come in the industry.
Right. One thing when you were talking about setting the context and talking about how insurance, how the world did not take into account a pandemic, and it was in the eighth position for the list of risk when someone was assessing a macroeconomic factor that could disrupt the industry or insurance. How do you think Indian regulation ministry or IRDA set up its policy for RegTech product in terms of the solvency or IFRS 17 product, and how our digital transformation on the RegTech sector would help in turn digital penetration on the insurance sector?
No, I think IRD has already taken number of initiatives. They have formed number of working groups also, working committees also, to discuss on lot of issues that are plaguing the insurance sector. So already IRD, I think, is doing a lot in this sector in terms of research and development, and maybe going forward, lot of new initiatives will be seen in terms of innovation and allowing full more leeway to the insurer companies and to the agency force to expand the business and have a more scalable sort of approach.
Definitely. I'm sure it will come around, because it's ultimately a very tightly coupled ecosystem that has to be in place simultaneously to for one sector to grow and flourish completely in terms of digitization.
And since insurance sector has lot of you have restrictive practices, you can't just simply go and launch a policy. You need to follow the guidelines, you need to file a product, and you need to get approval. So it is a quite time taking. And in case of this sandbox approach, for example, recently this IRDA has opened the application for the second round of the sandbox technology. So they have already opened the window on September 15 and it closes on October 14. So with the regulator encouraging new product innovation, technology can be leveraged with IoT driven modules like wearable devices, and again then to track parameters of health, into telematics to ascertain the driving behavior and all. So overall, I think this segment is for going for a huge transformation.
Exactly. And I believe this pandemic has actually given a nudge to this industry.
That was very much missing, and everyone was not wanting to invest that much. So that leverage they have got now, and they can think of the future in terms of expanding and scaling the operations.
One of the ultimate objective in insurance, as I understand from a customer perspective, is a satisfied customer, and a satisfied customer will be yielded from a faster processing of claims. What is your take on how can information technology help in faster claim settlement and provide contactless, touchless claim experience? Because again, touchless is very important these days.
Yeah. No, as you rightly said, claim settlement is the ultimate objective as well as the purpose of buying insurance. So if the claims are not settled fast, the whole purpose of insurance is lost. And currently, most of the insurers engage insurance surveyors after a particular limit. You need to get the loss verified from the surveyor, excluding few categories like life and health, which is excluded. And in case of general insurance, most of the losses in general insurance, physical inspection is a must. But with the sudden pandemic and complete lockdown, and employees working from home remotely, all the companies faced a huge challenge for the physical inspection of loss. But companies use these digital channels to inspect the claims by live streaming, video recording, and using technology to inspect and process the claim. So now as we go forward, these technologies will be inbuilt in the system. And moreover, the insurers are adopting technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, to ensure that there is a continuous automation and simplification for fast processing of the claim. For example, data lakes is being used to capture data in a basic format, and it will ultimately help to improve the customer journey of claims experience. So once you build that technology where customer can have a seamless experience, once you file a claim, you can just immediately log on. You can put up the pictures, you can put up the videos. So that helps in underwriting and the claim settlement process. And the person sitting at the insurance company can easily just verify all that, co-verify with the data and with the given by this uploaded by the consumer to compare and process the claim. So I think in claims, automation can do a lot of automation can help in simplifying the whole process and help in faster claim settlement. And in fact, this automation will additionally assist decision makers in accurate analysis of the claims. Many a time, since we are depending on the individual people to assess the assess the claim, they might not do it correctly. So and this the whole lot of paperwork involvement will also reduce. For example, if you file a claim, the company asks for one document. Again, once you submit that, they again ask for document. So that whole timeline will reduce, and customers can think to get the claims faster and solve the queries that they have, that will be solved faster.
Right. So I feel that, and I'm completely aligned with you, that from a very standard workflow automation, like a guided flow automation in order to collect document, to a more sophisticated technological transformation like geofencing, RPA, AI, or the sort of IoT device or connected device concept will facilitate the claim transformation. But do you think all these new channels or new mode of integration within the core system expose the system to cyber security threat or other data threats or data privacy threats?
Yeah, definitely it exposes a lot. And going forward, as the technology increases, if you have seen during the lockdown period in June, if you must have seen, there were a lot of breaches and people entering into different IDs and all. So data security would be a big challenge. And you just take other industries also, not insurance industry, where they are implementing technology. So as their technology improves and they rely on technology, the threats of cybersecurity, data breach, then third-party vendor, when they are outsourcing their services. So all this risk will increase. And ultimately, they will reach out to insurance company for solution.
Right.
So, and at the end, insurance company would be the gainer, because they would be getting maybe they will be thinking to launch of for new products related to data breach, data security, for cyber security, and you don't know what new product would be in demand. So cyber security and this one data breach would be a big area to look for.
Look forward to. Exactly. Um, and you have initially pointed out that India, the education for insurance, the financial literacy specifically is very low in India, as compared to other evolved market, where the impact for more face-to-face interaction between agent and customer could not be replaced. Of course, the pandemic has changed the situation, but do you think India's insurance sector has been mature enough, or the consumer or the customer of the insurance client are mature enough to handle the self-service portal or self-help that the insurer might be thinking through digital disruption in terms of, say, a chatbot enabled claim processing, or say a smooth transition from a bot to a live agent, or a standard flow, or geofencing to identify whether it's an actual accidental claim vis-a-vis some fake claims, or so on and so forth. Do you think a self-help automated platform will help the digital literacy, or and how efficient the self-help concept in insurance for the Indian geography?
Yeah, as I said, definitely this will help, but the main challenge was adaptation. So now, since we have adapted, people would more look for forward to this sort of online solutions. And particularly when we talk of millennials, our new generation people who want to have everything in minutes. They don't want to just give a call to agent and then they will give a proposal, then need to decide. So now they want everything on a very swift and an automatic mode. They give a query, they receive a comparison chart, they receive the benefits, they decide and pay. So again, the whole life cycle of purchasing insurance will also reduce. So once this the whole process is automated, and if they receive instant queries, instant information about product they need, add-ons that they can take, and based on their need, uh, so all these will help to automate the processes. And I will not say that this will happen overnight, because once this pandemic is over, maybe again a few people may switch over to the normal mode, but still we have already been pushed into that era that now can't change. And since we already had a mindset change, so this mindset change will help to grow the sector, and insurance companies would also like to push this further in order to reduce cost, because if they make these processes automated, their cost will reduce to a great extent, and they would be focusing more on product benefits and faster claim settlement, so they can invest that money in technology and giving good customer experience. And as you see, the lot of portals that has been working, maybe I think there are 23 web aggregators, online web aggregators, who are selling insurance. So gradually their customer base is increasing. And recently Amazon has marked its foray in insurance space. They are selling this two-wheelers and four-wheeler insurance in partnership with Echo General Insurance. So now it has become so easy to buy any product, and they can just get the quote within a few minutes and by filling up the simple details. So they did not wait for the lengthy process of applying to the company and then getting the details and purchasing the policy. And in fact, it should be done quite quickly, because you don't know how the customer preference will change. And if you give too much time to customers, they might switch over to other products. So overall, this automation would help in long term.
Do you think also, and this is my personal as a consumer and as a millennial as well, a lot of time I visit a insurance portal or insurance front-end digital portal, and I look for a particular thing, or maybe I'm looking into my account and see the transactional value, and then the company's automation tool or bot suggests me some add-on product. So the concept of cross-selling and upselling increases in the digital channel, and the conversion from lead generation to conversion for a cross-selling and upselling in digital medium is much more likely to happen as compared to a traditional medium, whereas an agent might come or visit to your place and ask you to take an add-on support on your insurance, which you might be skeptical on.
Definitely this helps, because as you move to digital medium, for example, say you are going to buy a mobile. When you buy a mobile online, you can see there is an option of buying an add-on insurance cover. So say if a mobile is costing say 15 to 20,000, you can just, it will cost few hundred rupees to buy an insurance cover. So basically you are not inclined to buy that cover. But as you are purchasing mobile, you saw that and you saw, okay, it is costing only 200-300, we can, why not to go for it. So this helps once you see it on the screen, and it prods you to buy it. For example, when you ride an Ola, there is an option to add insurance cover. So if the ride is costing say 150, it hardly takes 5 or 7 rupees to add an insurance cover. So normally you will not mind paying that 7 rupees or 10 rupees for the insurance cover. So definitely it has a push. And also in terms of knowledge quotient, our sometimes agents don't have that variety of products, because say if maybe they are selling products of any particular company, they may not be having that variety. But when you visit online, you can compare, you can get different add-ons, and if you get a pop-up, okay, you can add this to a product, just like a pizza topping. So you can add this one, you can add this one, next 100 rupees, again 100 rupees. So like this, you can have a huge market.
Exactly, totally. And as you were mentioning, the Ola or say flight tickets through Make My Trip, or
Mhm.
say an Amazon phone insurance through Amazon. Apart from the traditional media, direct and indirect sales, I feel the insurance sector has now extended its route to a very non-traditional media, as non-traditional as a commerce platform, where a people is not walking in to actually buy an insurance rather than buying something else, but the
Mhm.
insurance company is able to convert an user, because because probably the user is not putting a lot of thought before paying that small amount of money. So
Mhm.
I guess the concept of integrated platform, the marketplaces and all that is more emerging with the digital transformation in the
Mhm.
insurance sector.
Yeah, I think that this price tag is very important. Since they are eyeing, whenever you think of insurance, you fear that, okay, insurance agent will come, he will advise for a policy of premium of say 30,000, 40,000 annually, or maybe quarterly or so. Then you, even if he calls you, you will just first say that, no, we don't need insurance. So
Hmm.
that mindset needs to change. When you have a small ticket size premium, you don't mind paying it. And if you maybe calculate with the number of products you buy, it may, the total number may be high, but this will help to expand the market.
Right. Um, if you have to comment on extending as an insurance client, or
Mm.
I'm an insurance service provider, what is the likely chance of me extending my add-on services or this extension of insurance services to different product platform, vis-a-vis listing myself as an insurance provider and selling my core solution in the insurance aggregator platform like Policy Bazaar? What would be your take on this, that how insurance aggregation market or aggregator are doing in the digital era, and if the pandemic or any digital disruption is helping in the aggregation part of it?
Yeah, actually, here are two issues. One, there are web aggregators who are selling insurance. Basically, they are offering comparison of policies where you can visit the site and you can purchase the products. Similarly, insurance companies are also directly selling the products from their sites. So, for
Right.
example, if you visit the site of maybe Birla, Religare, or any company, you can directly purchase the products.
Right.
But in terms of aggregator, the advantage that you have is you can compare products of number of companies at a time, maybe say 5, 10 companies at a time. So the number of aggregators should also grow in future. Currently we have only 23 aggregators who are offering this policy comparison services, but again there are some challenges in terms of payment to this aggregator. For example, recent after an IRDA guideline, they had to restrict the amount they could charge from the insurance company. So the mode was changed from to maybe a lead based payment system, something like that. So these will also evolve. I think once we go forward in this digital journey, this all things will evolve, and the number of aggregators will increase, the number of broking companies will increase, and this individual agents would be more keen to use this digital medium to sell policy. And again, that will create a challenge because you have an aggregator, you have insurance companies, you have Amazon like platforms to sell the products, you have again individual agents who are providing some sort of services. So if we take everything all along, then I think the end benefit would be to the customer. They would be having lot of scope, lot of choice to make. And as we say, when this is integrated with different products, for example, if you as we talked about buying mobile phones, so once this is integrated with product buying like TV, like fridge, so this will expand the size of the market. And this
Exactly.
can be huge because the number of consumer that we have and the number of products that we have, if we can collaborate and if IRDA allows and there are innovative products and if everything can be aligned, this is the best way. But again, there would be a challenge in terms of servicing also, because selling is quite easy, but once you start receiving claims and if you don't process it fast, then the whole process would be defied. So that also needs to be looked into, and the insurance companies must also scale up these this claim processing operations also, because unless you have robust claim processing process, then again selling and not servicing probably would not work.
Exactly. Exactly. So the selling and servicing has to go hand in hand.
Yeah,
While
hand in
it's
hand.
all, yeah,
Yeah,
while
if you
it's always good to
mm,
expand into different
uh,
marketplace and platform and all of that, you need to be able to have a workforce and the operational infrastructure to be able to handle that
handle
amount of
those amount
claims.
of
And I
uh,
believe the claims that would be coming from different platform, the claim value could be high, but the sell value will not be much
not
higher.
be much. And again, if you see, say the people who are buying, this millionaires who are buying, so if you don't satisfy them, they will be quick enough to post in social media, they will be quick enough to react in social media, and again that can give you a negative publicity. So
Exactly.
you need to have all the things in place before moving in that scale, because unless you can maintain that or service that the huge amount of business that would be generated, would be quite difficult for companies to have a good business reputation.
Right. So while while the sell value is high, while the sell quantity is higher with a lower value of sell, the risk is a negative word of mouth,
Hmm.
because of the target audience that the insurance company will be aiming through this token
Hmm.
insurances. Um, uh, what happens a lot of time, probably the insurance company might be able to in a days of time, say there's 1 lakh tickets, flight tickets has been sold, and say 10,000 has purchased the top up of their luggage insurance bracket. And if
Hmm.
there's any issue with the claim processing, a lot of time for just that 100 rupees of insurance claim,
Hmm.
they have to suffer from a lot of bad word of mouth or the goodwill value. The goodwill value is
Definitely.
not measurable, but it's very
Uh,
important for every business.
and this and in say, as you're talking about this policy along with the ticket, so maybe the person who would be traveling, he would be, while boarding the flight, he would be texting on social media about his experience.
Exactly.
So this would be a great challenge for companies. So digital will definitely help the companies, but again it will create a challenge also to
Right.
for this reputation management, brand management. Ultimately this will suffer if you don't have enough measures built in to take care of all the issues.
Exactly, exactly.
Hmm.
So, so these small add-ons that we talk about, it has a very nice name called sachet insurance or
Yes,
top
actually.
insurance, and it's actually becoming a trend. And you have correctly mentioned that the sales service and the operational infrastructure has to go hand in hand to
Hmm.
make this a success. While the insurer has to plan well ahead before providing this sachet insurance, that if they have the infrastructure or the background to handle this amount of scale or scale up their business through this channel. But how do you think it will evolve in the year to come? What would be the concept of sachet insurance, and how popular it's going to be, and how it's going to be beneficial for the insurer?
Actually, this will evolve based on the experience. So as more innovation happens, for example, in sandbox approach, insurers launch more products, customers have more choices to product for more types of product. So once this market evolves, then they would be able to decide that how this over the counter products or sachet insurance will work. But overall I think that the market is quite huge in terms of the population that we have, and the options available. And since the premium of these policies are quite affordable, so people would be willing to buy these products. And once these sachet products are gets more popular, I think this they will have a decent share in business. And you never know, this may even overtake the existing business that they have, because
Right.
in terms of volume it would be huge. And if you can give tailor made according to the need product, and instant product which can be bought easily without any cumbersome paperwork. So everything will help, and these things will evolve going forward. You can't have just a prescriptive formula that this will work or not. So as the insurers go along, they need to test, they need to launch a product in a particular segment maybe, and few segments may work, few may not. So like this, they need to do a lot of research and development. And one thing our industry is missing, the number of research and development is not that high. They need to increase the number of research in terms of customer preferences, what they want, and in terms of product, in terms of servicing. So this will help the industry to grow further.
We have talked a lot about Indian insurance industry, both in terms of life, non-life, and new coming sachet insurance. But what I have seen from my experience that India still, in India, the concept of specialty insurance is not as popular, or is almost next to limited or non-existent as compared to the other outside world. So there has been like blood stock insurance, or say betting insurance, or say some body part insurance, or luxury product insurance. Do you think India, with its demographical, psychographical population, has a market of specialty insurance?
Yes, definitely. Market is definitely there, because if you see a definite a part of population who can buy this sort of insurance, that is also huge. So if you segment the whole population, and you few may buy the insurance which is necessary, few may buy insurance as a luxury, few may just buy insurance just as it is, just they saw something and they ticked on it, they clicked it, and they will never again remember also they have purchased on insurance.
Right.
But overall, specialty insurance has a market, but still it will take time. And as I said, we need to educate consumers. Once they understand the value of insurance, then this specialty market will grow. Once they know that no, insurance is for risk protection, it is not for investment tool. It is for example, if we talk about a house insurance, the premium for house insurance is very low, but how many of us buys house insurance? So it is the numbers is quite low, and mostly we purchase factory or our office insurance, but we don't take house insurance where the premium is not more than 1,000 or something like that. So similarly, in case of specialty also, it will take time. I will not say, but before that, I think OTC product has more chances of getting noticed and being sold.
So, Dr. Rakesh, you have authored more than 30 books and guides in insurance sector. We would like to know your suggestion of any books, podcast, or any resources that you would recommend us, or any video example that we should look at, and it will give us more transparent view on the insurance industry of India or the world.
Actually, we have a portal, BimaBazaar.com. So there we post all latest updates about the industry. So that is a good resource. And in terms of technology, I think there are a lot of research reports from KPMG, the Big Fours, and Swiss Re. So those documents, I think, would be a good reading material for anyone willing to have some knowledge on InsurTech and related areas.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for such an insightful discussion. Then we are open to questions. Yeah.
Awesome. I think thanks a lot, Dr. Rakesh. It was really great listening to you. So we have a lot of questions. Unfortunately, in the interest of time, I'll not take up all. So I'll take one of the first question is, what are the new risks we need to add in our risk universe now? It's asked by Mr. Praveen.
In terms of new risk, as I said, pandemic still stands one in the number one position, and you keep getting news from China that this sort of new virus have evolved, and again you start thinking that something it may travel to our country. So apart from this pandemic, I think the next biggest risk is climate change, because this will have a severe impact on every one of us. In terms of heavy rainfall, in terms of climate risk would be the risk to look for in
Okay.
coming days. And the regular risks are there, you in terms of you can say cyber security, threat, data, all those are there. But in terms of major threat, I think climate risk is the biggest.
Okay. You guys also touched about an interesting new kind of insurance called sachet insurance. So we
Yes,
have
yes.
Payal asking you, how do you see that trend evolving? What are the new kind of sachet insurance you think coming up soon?
Yeah, I think we discussed on this, that this market would evolve, and there are a lot of experimentation already being done.
Mhm.
Insurance companies are launching small ticket size products which can be bought over the counter, and they are also experimenting with add-ons with other products and new sort of products also. So this market will evolve, and it has a great potential future. So under the sandbox technology also, many companies are filing for this product. For example, if you see the product in terms of say motor insurance, you have this telematics where you can the premium would depend on the behavior pattern
Mhm.
of your driving and all. Few companies have launched insurance for this say coverage of dengue and malaria.
Mhm.
Few have launched for pet insurance. So this market is evolving, and I think there is a huge scope for this sachet insurance market.
Awesome. Mr. Goel, I think he's been a veteran in the industry also. He raises a question as in, during my 35 years of practice as a surveyor and loss assessor, I have come to understand that 50% of insurance agents are not even aware of the motor basic cover, what to talk about on add-ons available in case of the motor insurance. Similarly, 90% of them are not aware of the perils covered, exclusions, terms and conditions of non-motor insurance. So don't you realize that the wrong selling is the root cause and delay of dispute in claim settlement? What's your take on that?
Yeah, definitely. Mis-selling is hampering a lot the Indian market, and along with that, fraud is also there. If you see the figures of fraud in India, I think the number of in 2019, the total number of loss from fraud was around 40,000 crores.
Okay.
So that is quite huge. So as we discussed, there is a dire need of education, because education has taken a backseat. Initially, IRDA started with this insurance agency training in 2002 when the IRDA came. So, but over a period, this insurance training were diluted. So now the insurance companies can directly issue, they can just directly take the training and certificates are issued. So education is a big area that needs to be focused upon by the regulators, by the insurance companies. And what happens once you are more into selling, you forget educating.
Mm-hmm.
Then your focus is on selling anything, somehow to sell anything, and you have targets, you have budgets, and you just ask your
Agents.
agency force just to sell somehow. So they don't have that time for education. So he has rightly pointed out that is seriously missing in terms of agency force also, and consumers also don't know what they need to purchase. So in both ways, we need to educate them.
Awesome. I'll take the last question, which is again related to the question here on, do you feel predictive analysis or trend analysis based on claim versus policy can act as solution for both insurance as well as consumer in terms of claims?
Yeah, that can act, but still, as I said, this whole process is evolving. Once we go into this robotic automation, artificial intelligence, and different sort of tools that are available with the insurance companies, so these things will evolve. And once the whole space of claim management matures, then we will see a lot of technologies like this which can be helpful in claim settlement.
Okay, awesome. I think we are done for the day. Shreya, would you like to add anything? Would you like to conclude on some point?
So I would like to first thank Dr. Rakesh. It was really insightful. We got to know a lot of IRD initiative. We got to know how it actually gave a nudge, how the whole pandemic situation gave a nudge to the insurance industry. I have been dealing with a couple of insurance clients, and I have been receiving query for more now about the digitization or how we can use web, mobile, and other channel platforms in order to help them gain more traction, gain more customer, help them settle in the claim process, the whole quote to bid process, how digitization claims are simple, not only within India, but in the global scale. So I think there's a lot of potential, and Dr. Rakesh has correctly pointed out that one of the key things that would be my closing note is an education or the financial literacy on the insurance sector, which is still not up to the mark, and that is why probably there is a lot of skepticism in terms of using digital platform. Once there has been proper infrastructure, operational due diligence, technological advancement coupled with a proper financial literacy in place, I think there's no stopping of having a complete digital transformation for the insurance or the BFSI sector, which otherwise is primarily traditional.
But I think this is the golden time ahead for this technology companies, and not just for technology companies. You need to think in terms of employment also, because as this technology thing evolves, there would be more recruitment in space of risk-based positions, risk managers, and technology officers. So in terms of employment also, I think this would be a great time for people to join the industry.
Awesome. We are extremely thankful, both of you, Shreya and Dr. Rakesh Agarwal, specifically for joining us. A small little video to just eliminate, to inform you again and share with you what Mr. Rakesh has been doing for the industry. Thanks a lot, everyone. It was great having you guys over here. I left you all to enjoy the evening.
Thank you,
and the extended weekend. And the extended weekend. Have a good day, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone who participated. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.